I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we are here with Gints Zilbalodis, the filmmaker of Flow, which is nominated for two Oscars, Best Animated Feature, Best International Feature. So, first of all, tell us about that morning of the Oscar nominations. What was that like? I saw a video of you with your dog, so I think you were watching it live, right?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of, it's a stressful moment, so I wanted to have something that could relieve my stress. So I was watching with my dog, and that helped to pet my dog. And yeah, it was really, we were like especially surprised by the international nomination, which was a really nice surprise. And both of them were luckily announced right after each other, and so I didn't have to be too stressed for a long time.
And you just won two Annie Awards and you won the Golden Globe. And I love during your Globe speech, you shouted out Latvia. It was the first time your country had competed there. That must have meant so much to you, kind of to represent your country like that.
It is very important, and yeah, everyone's really like following every single news that comes out of this award season. Like everything ends up on the front page of the biggest newspapers, and so we brought the Globe back home, and the National Museum of Art in Latvia wanted to exhibit it, and so of course we agreed, and they put it in this kind of central entrance of the museum, and the statue was guarded by these two cats, cat statues basically, which fits the theme of the film, and there were so many people coming to just see the statue, the Golden Globe, even waiting for an hour in line to see it, and
Mm.
that's I think like 15,000 people coming to see it in a city of like 500,000. That's like a big part of the city that came to see it.
Wow, that's so cool. I'm curious, like, what's the biggest difference between Latvia and Hollywood?
Well, like I've never worked in Hollywood, so I don't really know how things go here. But yeah, we worked in this kind of small independent studio which we built from scratch, and we worked kind of in our own way. We were not trying to copy what everyone else is doing. I think that can be. I think for like a smaller indie production, I think you should find something that is your way of doing things, and then you can kind of stand out from the crowd. And I think that's why people have noticed Flow, that it feels very different than what you've seen. And yeah, so yeah, we have to build everything from scratch. We don't have like a big industry. We had to like hire these people who are amazing artists, but they've never worked in a film or like a production. So I had to teach them, and I had to teach myself as well. I had never done this. This was my first film that I've done with a team, a budget. I used to work on my own. I did my first film away in my bedroom with like a micro budget, and so for us, this is all very new and exciting. But I think this allows us to find like a yeah different way of making films.
And how did you cope with making this movie with a team? Because you have done all of your other movies by yourself. Like, what was the biggest change that you had to adapt to?
Yeah, when I'm working alone, I don't need to like explain anything to anyone. I can just make it. And this time when working with a team, I think it can be helpful that I need to articulate my thoughts. Then these ideas can be challenged or questioned, and that can be healthy for filmmaking. Like these things have intention. They need to be there because it's kind of they've gone through kind of the testing process of kind of working with a team. But that can also go too far. Like I think there's a danger of over explaining everything and kind of losing the things that make it interesting and unique. So there were certain moments where I had to ask the team to trust me that when we have the music, when we have the animation and everything is put together, it will make sense. But I can't really explain it right now. And sometimes that was my way of explaining things. Sometimes it's easier just to show an image or show a piece of music because I also co-wrote the score. And it's kind of hard to describe music having not heard it. But if I can present like a sketch to someone, like music can speak so much more than words can. And that was my approach to show rather than tell at certain moments.
And the film follows the journey of a small black cat as it tries to survive a flood, and it meets some new animal friends along the way. I'm curious, what was your biggest inspiration for the personality of the cat? And did the cat have a name in the script?
Uh, yeah, it's a personal story to me because this is the first film I've done with the team, and I wanted to tell this story in the film itself, how a very independent character learns to trust and collaborate with others. So the cat is very much kind of a representation of my feelings. So I identify with the cat a lot, but I identify with all the characters. I wanted each of them to be relatable and interesting, and there are no like heroes or villains, and so there's aspects of me in all of them.
Mm.
In the script, we didn't have a name for the cat. We just called each of them cat, the dog, the lemur. But it's funny, like since the film has come out, a lot of people have interpreted that the cat's name is Flo, and even I've
Ah,
heard people naming their kittens now Flo, which is really incredible. And maybe like, yeah, maybe we can call it Flo. I think that's a nice name for a cat.
yeah, I could see a lot of people naming their cats Flo after this. And there was no dialogue in the movie. And I'm curious, was that always the intention, or did you have a version of the movie where the animals talked, or where there was a narrator or something like that?
No, at no point there was ever it was ever considered to have dialogue. All the films I've done so far are without dialogue, and to me that was exciting to kind of tell a story from a cat's point of view and have them acting like a cat and a dog, and this makes it a lot more emotional, a lot more intense, but also funny. I think these animals are so interesting and deep, and we don't need to change them or make them more human-like to kind of tell an interesting story. And I feel like again, this is something we haven't seen for at least the main characters to be like this. And this is like again a fresh perspective. But we wanted to kind of create a very subjective experience that the audience kind of feels like they are the cat and they only know the information that the cat knows, and the cat doesn't know where the flood is coming from and where the humans went. So that was my intention to make you feel like you are the cat.
Mm. Well, you brought up the humans, and there are a lot of philosophical and spiritual discussions taking place online about flow, about what it all means, what the flood means, the bird rising up into the sky, and the absence of humans. Have you been following all these fan theories? And do you have a favorite one, a theory that you really just that blew your own mind?
Yeah, well, I often get asked questions to explain certain scenes, but I kind of wanted to leave those up to interpretation. And I think if I had explained these things, then no one would be talking about this. And I think it's exciting to have discussions like that. But I'm really more guided by emotion and experience rather than logic. It's kind of, I want to create a sense of like conveying that the cat is sad or whatever. And then I kind of build all these environments. I build the entire world to express this feeling. So it doesn't really come from like I don't write like a long backstory or world building kind of explanation to everything. It's very instinctual and very spontaneous. And I think in a kind of a smaller independent film, you're allowed to do these more crazy, bigger swings where you're not even explaining everything. We have the freedom to kind of ask the audience to kind of participate. And I think people also want to do that. They want to kind of figure things out for themselves. We give them the clues. Like if you pay attention to the background, like there's a bunch of clues left behind to kind of suggest what might have happened. But this information is not spoon-fed. It's not kind of didactic. You have to pay attention. And I'm trying to kind of reward people who watch it multiple times. They can have different interpretations now, knowing how it ends, and they might discover all these different layers. And but to me, it's really all about the characters and their emotional journey. That's the most important part to me.
Mm. And you created the movie on the free open source software Blender. What can you tell us about using that method, and how easy or how challenging was that?
Yeah, this is a software which is really cool that any kids can pick up and now has the access to tools that these big feature films are being made, and it's free and there's resources online. So we just learned from watching YouTube videos for free, and and this I think will be it's already is a very exciting kind of change that more and more independent films can be made because yeah, we can make these films with a smaller budget, and these tools are it's not a compromise in any way. It's just as good as a tool, or I would say even better than some of the like very expensive tools out there. And so it's a very powerful tool. We couldn't have made it without it, like with these very long shots where the camera follows the characters and this very complicated effects. I think we could only do this with this technique. So I think we'll also like because Flow has been so successful in many regards. This has shown there's an appetite for a film like this,
Mm.
and there's going to be more and more independent films being made, and there's an audience, and it can be like financially successful, and it can be understood like all over the world, especially animation. Without dialogue, it can kind of transcend boundaries, and there's also yeah, it's just will allow people in places where there isn't an industry like Latvia to share their stories, to express their feelings. And I think this is just the beginning, and we'll see many, many more films like that.
Mm. Uh, when you were younger, what were some animated movies that really inspired you? What made you want to get into this business?
Well, I will mention Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki as influences, but I think I'm more inspired by like live action filmmakers and all kinds of films. And this is just well, it's a tool, it's a medium. It's like I consider myself a filmmaker first rather than an animator. And so I'm influenced by filmmakers like Alfonso Cuarón and Sergio Leone and Martin Scorsese and Akira Kurosawa, who are really the masters of kind of visual storytelling, telling stories through blocking to the choreography of the camera and the characters, which is something I haven't really seen as much in animation. Kind of having the camera really be a kind of a storytelling kind of tool, kind of expressing things, not just being functional of doing like close-ups and wide shots, but really like trying like all kinds of cinematic languages there. Like so yeah, it's really more live action filmmakers that inspire me.
Mhm. And the film's score plays a crucial role in creating the atmosphere and creating the emotion. What can you tell us about the music behind what we're seeing?
Yeah, so I'm one of the co-writers of the score. I didn't study music. I only started doing this with my first feature film Away, and I write it basically electronically on my laptop using the keyboard of the laptop, and I don't play instruments, and so I just draw the notes, the MIDI notes, and just play them back and listen and just sense them, try to get the right emotion. And the music is quite minimalistic, and I think I can only write something like that. I can't like write very complicated stuff, and I need to do this early while I'm still writing the script. Often music is done at the end of the process where
Mhm.
everything is finalized. But I need to do the music early because it helps me understand the story. It gives me ideas for how certain scenes will develop, and there's a crucial scene which I will not spoil towards the end of the film, but yeah, this very emotional, cathartic scene with the cat and the bird, and this was really kind of guided by the music because I couldn't figure out what would happen. But once I found this music which I wrote, it's kind of gave me all these ideas. And had the music been done later, the whole story would be very different. But so I write these sketches on my laptop, but then later we brought on another composer, Richard Zaljupe, who's also from Latvia. He's a lot more experienced than me, and we actually orchestrated everything and did like recorded a big orchestra, and that was such a special moment for me to hear these themes which I'd written on my laptop and to hear these real people playing. That was one of the highlights of the process for me.
Mhm. We are a big awards website at Gold Derby. We love talking about awards. And I'm curious, do you remember your very first award you ever received, even going back to when you were a child?
Um, I maybe there was something as a child I don't remember, but one of the first meaningful awards was I made a short film in high school. and that got accepted in some festivals and it won an award in Ottawa. It's one of the biggest animation festivals in North America. And because of that award, I had this opportunity to get funding for my next films. Uh, and I decided just to work on my own. I made a bunch of short films instead of going to film school. So these awards really did make a huge difference in my life and allowed me to work independently and do things my way. And so this is really like it's not just symbolic, it really like changed my life in many ways. And since then, like the next big thing was probably in Annecy, my first feature film Away won the first kind of Contre-Champ award, which really kind of blew up everything and allowed the film to be seen. So I'm very grateful for all these amazing like festivals and events that kind of have supported me throughout the years.
And you know, the Oscars are coming up on March 2nd. What are you most looking forward to at the ceremony besides your own categories? Like, is there anyone that you really want to meet and say hello to? Conan O'Brien is the host. Absolutely love that guy.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be there this year with Conan O'Brien hosting. I think he's the perfect person for this. I love him, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to meeting filmmakers. I think most like I get so excited about like I met already so many heroes of mine and who have actually seen Flow, which blew my mind, and I'm just like yeah, those are my heroes, and it's really crazy to be in the same kind of conversation with them. And just yesterday we did the international panel like in a Santa Barbara, and like I was just sitting next to Walter Solis, who's like just did Motorcycle Diaries is one of my all-time favorite films, and that was he's so kind and supportive, and like I'm just having a blast throughout this.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. And what is next on your plate after all of the awards stuff dies down? What film are you working on next, or can you tell us?
Yeah, throughout this crazy process of worldwide tour since Cannes, which was in May, so almost 9 months now, nonstop traveling. I've been working on my next film in the hotel rooms and airplanes and whenever I have some time. So I need to work because I really love working. I enjoy the process and it kind of helps me to keep sane in all this craziness and because I enjoy the routine and yeah, I've been writing it. I've been also writing the music for it. As I said, I do it earlier. So I have an outline, and I have more than 4 hours of music, which I will write more, but then I will dial down to like the best bits because for Flow I wrote 8 hours of music, and so I'm developing some visual materials. But we're gonna keep working independently in our studio in Latvia, which we established for Flow. And yeah, so it's again a personal story. I can't really reveal much about the story details, but I'm very excited about it. It's quite different from Flow. It's the first time I'm using some dialogue, which is a bit scary for me, but I kind of want to do things that scare me because I don't want to do the same film again. I want to challenge myself. But yeah, now that we've gone through this and I've learned so much, I think we can actually make it faster than Flow. We have the infrastructure and the experience, and I'm really excited after this award season to really fully commit to that.
Mhm. I watched Flo with my little kitty, Mrs. Featherbottom, and it's her favorite movie of all time. So you made my cat very happy.
Thank you. Yeah, we've seen so many amazing videos of cats like watching the entire film and like being engaged. And yeah, I'd like to think like it's because of the representation and they can relate to the characters and engage with the story. Although more likely it's the reason we use real animal voices and they probably respond to the sounds. But yeah, maybe who knows? Maybe they actually engage with the story.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us and best of luck at the Oscars.
Thank you. Have a good day.